go. What's up, fellas?
All right. Well, what's up there, Kenny? So we've decided to move this into the afternoon for a good reason today, because we're going to have a guest on the show for the first time, and I'm just going to kick it over to you, Ken, to give us a little introduction, and then we'll let Brandon tell a little bit about his side of that whole thing.
Absolutely. So, in the past we were talking about lenses and leadership lens and the different types of lenses. Well, Brandon's someone that I met probably about 9 months ago. He's a gentleman who he's doing nothing but good out in the community. And I kind of got involved with an organization, I Believe in Me, that he's a part of. Like I said, I met him about 9 months ago, and there's just something about Brandon that pulled me in close. And he was having a conversation one day, and that lens whole thing kind of hit me. So really the idea kind of came from a conversation that Brandon was having with the young men and women that he's mentoring. And then it kind of went from there, but I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to bring him on here. He's, like I said, he's taking the lens kind of concept and kind of running with it. And we're just kind of going. So Brandon McCallister, if you, I'll turn it over to you and let you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. And thank you, Scott. Thank you guys for inviting me. Just a little bit about myself, just to introduce myself. My name is Brandon McCallister. I'm 40 years old. I grew up in the inner city, about 6-7 years in Pittsburgh, and the rest was in Frederick. And, my environment dictated a lot of the things that I went through. So I didn't per se have certain lenses that others had or seen through, because I was indoctrinated with certain things of how I should be, how I should look, how I should deal with certain situations. There was all these things that was indoctrinated into me. So my lens became like, it was one type of lens, a lens of survival. That's probably the best way I can put it. I spent a lot of time in juvenile facilities. I spent a lot of time in prison also. And because I believe I've had entrepreneur skills, but I was just marketing the product and myself the wrong way. And that's because of my lens. What I seen through my lens was those things, or those people marketing the things that they market. And I watched them, move up level after level. So my lens was, that was the way that you conduct business, or that's the way you get ahead in life. So it wasn't until I was able to, things happened that changed my lens. And I never thought that was possible, because I just thought that was my world, that was my reality. So It was like, those were the things that I seen, and those are the things that I adapted to through my own personal lens at that time.
And what was crazy, Scott, when I met Brandon, I saw him through a lens that he didn't know people could see him through, if that makes any sense. So
tell me more about that one.
Yeah. I mean, I met Brandon.
I define that.
Well, I didn't know anything about him or his background. All I saw was what he was doing on a day-to-day basis in this community that he's trying to help. So, when I saw him through the same lens that I would carry myself. And that's something that, and I don't want to speak for Brandon, but it's probably something that maybe he had never felt before. But and when I learned about his background or something, and Brandon can tell you if I'm incorrect here, I didn't care. I was looking at a man through a very, the lens that I see the world through in the moment, not through the lens that he thought I was seeing him, if that makes any sense.
So before we go down that road, though, because I am interested to hear a little bit, Brandon. So this lens concept isn't something that you understood 10 years ago. It's something that you ran into recently with Ken. I want to understand how that kind of morphed for you.
So when he pointed that out to me, so the first thing was my lens. So the lens that he was looking at me through, the lens I was looking at him through, was the lens of what does he want from me? Or is he going to be in and out my life, a person that's going to help and then be gone? Because this was my reality. My reality was people get close to you to hurt you. That was my lens, because
Right.
the things I went through, I've been abused, I've been molested. There was things that I've been through that that lens was a wall for me, because if people was to come in to help me, more likely they either wanted something from me or they were going to hurt me in the end. So there was like I don't want to, and I hope this ain't take this the wrong way, like a standoffish kind of, because he had his hands out, but I wasn't willing to grab onto him, because my lens was still, it had some protections in it to protect me.
Sure.
And I was telling
Well,
Ken,
I mean, if you're seeing the lens that people get closer to you hurt you, then it's almost like anybody who reaches out to try to help you out, you're never going to avail yourself to that assistance.
I'll never receive those blessings or what's coming my way.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I told
because
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's what we do here.
Yes, that won't be the last time that somebody talks over somebody else.
We're all gonna interrupt each other. It's all good, Brandon. Because the lens is we're all equal, so let's just have a conversation, right? Because I'm learning from you, you're learning from me, and we're all learning from Kenny, whatever, But it's fascinating when you think about it that because of the way you were seeing the world, the lens, using our kind of moniker, you almost short-circuited your ability to accept help and get ahead in life. And then it almost became what I would call a self-fulfilling prophecy. The world's out to get you. So then you treated people a certain way because of your lens. And then you go, see, look, the world's just out to get you.
So it goes back to what you just said. You hit it right on the nail. What was indoctrinated into my mind as when I was young, my lens was that it's like glasses. When you walk outside, that tent that comes on them from the sun.
Yep.
So my lens, I have it, but when danger or something comes that puts me on edge or makes me step back, that tent comes up. That tent comes up for protection.
So it's interesting because you say danger. And you know what? That's actually healthy, right? If a bear walks in, you should see danger and you should respond differently.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would suggest is that it's almost like if opportunity showed up, you saw it as danger and it was opportunity.
So
did we have that conversation?
Look, so fast forward to how the lens conversation started with me and Ken. Exactly. So what I just pointed out was the danger. Your lens automatically went to a positive, which Ken's went to, because I was talking to a youth and I said, if you hang around in the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut, because that was indoctrinated to me that the barbershop was a bad place with bad things, with bad people, danger. And then when Ken said, well, what if that barbershop was filled with entrepreneurs, millionaires, billionaires, people who can help you get ahead in life? And like anyone that does the mic drop now, that's what I heard in my head. Boom. And I was like,
maybe I was hanging around the wrong barbershop.
Yeah, but it goes back to what was indoctrinated into my lenses. My lenses was already predetermined for me, that someone built, and they gave them to me and said, hey, these are the lenses that you should look through life at. This is how you shouldn't trust women because you didn't have a mom. So why would you trust a woman if your mom was never around? If you want to be rich and successful, you got to stand out on the street corner and you got to be a pharmaceutical supplier. There was things
that's a great title.
Hey, you got to be creative sometimes when they ask you certain stuff on
like
jobs.
you said, you're already an entrepreneur. You got the marketing down.
See, Brandon is a diamond. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah. Okay, keep going, Brandon. That's good. I like where you're going.
So when he said that to me, and I looked at the kids, I immediately, now we went into activities, but right after that, I went to him and I was like, explain that to me. Like, tell me more. you know? And then I think at that moment right there, that was the first moment. I've never told you this, Ken, but that was the first moment where a part of my guard was taken down, because I said, you know what, my lens and or the things that I learned up until that point of looking through a lens, I said, you know what, let me start opening this door a little bit. Let me start wiping, because lenses, you know, they can be wiped, they can be clean so that you can refocus. So I
Or
started
you can
wiping.
take them off, right? I mean, if the sun's out, you put on your sunglasses. If it starts raining, you take your sunglasses off,
Yeah.
and it's suddenly not as dark, and you put on something else. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the great, you know, I love that Kenny came up with that as the idea, because it really means that it really is up to you to just change the lens you're looking through,
Yeah.
which will change your behavior, which will create opportunity for yourself.
Yes. And so now some of the things that he started to tell me, so like, not to get in too deep into some things, but I was granted another opportunity because people, now I know people seeing me through a different lens. You know, they see me, and I was presented an opportunity where I went to a behavior modification program, and it taught me a lot about me. You know, it taught me a lot about lenses, but not knowing they were lenses then. As I sit now, it's like and not just because Ken's here, I'm being honest, and not because you're here. Like this lens thing, I'm like obsessed with it now. Like I tell Ken when I talk, I always go like this, or when I talking to other people, because I do a lot of speaking engagements, and I do, because like I'm obsessed with it, because like something you just said that hit me is when it rains, you take your glasses off because why? Like they're foggy, you can't see no more. So you have to wipe them and refocus. And I think that's where I'm at in my life right now is I had to take some of the lenses because we wear multiple lenses. And I had to take some of them off and wipe them off, you know, and there were scratches and stuff on those lenses and the way I view things. But I had to wipe them off so that I could see things a little different than how I viewed it.
And I would offer to you that, you know, sometimes your lenses wear out over time and you throw them the hell out, right? And you get a new pair because, well, you know, the lenses that worked 5 years ago aren't the lenses that work now. I mean, it's a great model to kind of look at the ability to, you know, you change your choices, you change your life. I mean, so I come at it from a more Zen perspective, but the lens thing plays itself in. It's just a question of how you talk about these things. And so, you know, if you today started making different choices than you made for the last 6 months, well, 6 months from now, your life will be very different. And it sounds simple. I mean, we all know it's not that simple. And yet it kind of is. Change your lens, right? And you start to see the world. You could look at Kenny as, you know, a rich white guy that's really never going to, you know, why would he help out, you know, other people who aren't necessarily, don't look like him or come from a different background. Or you could look at Kenny and go, all right, well, I'm going to give you a chance. You know, can I trust you or can I? And, you know, you'll find that out over time. But if you have that first lens on, you won't even take the opportunity to go get to know somebody like Kenny, and vice versa. I mean, if Kenny looks at you as like, that's just some dude that was in jail, shit, I don't need to get around that stuff. You know, he loses the opportunity to meet somebody that helps him understand life as well. Because this lens theory, I mean, we kicked around all kinds of stuff. Kenny and I have known each other for a long time. We've had these conversations around bonfires and on boats and whatever. And, you know, we've just recently started with this idea of having this whatever we call this thing. But honestly, I think since he met you, you actually helped him to clarify his whole idea of what this lens thing is. And he's taken it to a whole other level. And, you know, that's because he met you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you sit back, when we were first, I never really had the lens concept in my brain until, you know, Brandon did the barbershop story for his group. And he actually afterwards, he was like, why didn't you say something when I said it? But I was honest with him. He killed it. He knocked his whole conversation with the youth that he was talking to. He knocked it out of the park, and there was no chance I was going to ruin that. So, but that was something that there was another conversation to be had after the fact. And I think if we're all trying to learn and grow, we all just need to continue to learn and grow and continue to move forward. But in the beginning, Brandon, when Scott and I were talking in the past, a lot of times I had a vision of maybe helping out other business owners or entrepreneurs, or talking to business leaders and leadership stuff with that. And after I got involved and I got to know you a little bit, to be honest with you, this lens thing works at every level of society. It's the businessman, it's the parent, it's the youth. And to kind of pull back on something else that you said, the lenses that we have from our youth are basically those experiences that we had as a youth, right? So up until the age of 40, you had your experiences. I had my experiences. My family experiences were different than your family experiences. So I had parents around me that helped create that positive lens that I see the world through, and I've kept that the whole time. Where I think we can do such good with this concept is you're now going to change the lens of the youth, that the parents aren't providing them with a lens. If that now lenses, I mean, I'm always coming from the positive side of that, but you're going to be able to let these youth see life through a lens that maybe that was never open to you. And that, I think, is where we can equate some change.
Because I think that's the biggest thing. So my thing is, especially when I work with the youth, is things that weren't done for me, opening up their mind, experiences that, let's be honest, a lot of the inner city kids, they want to be what? Football players, basketball players. Yep. They stop right there. They don't even look at baseball as a guaranteed sport that you make most of the money in that sport. They don't look at hockey, tennis, nowhere else, is because the lens is football and basketball where these kids come from. So if they're able to, be exposed, I think exposure is the best thing, even if they don't like it or not, exposure. And I think that's the piece that gives them, their growth, because exposure was right there with me. Like I said, I think I was born a hustler. I really believe that. I just, like I said, did it the wrong way. And when Ken met, like, I was working 3 jobs, and I'm talking about, I'm working. I'm whatever I got to do that I don't have to go back to that place I was at, and I can do it legally. I got this because it's in me. The same way I ripped and ran 3, 4, 5 in the morning. If I need to be up and go to work, I'm there. It's overtime to get, I'm the man signing up for it, because that mentality of I'm willing to go get it. I'm willing to, whatever it takes, I'm willing to work for it. So when he presented some things to me, and he presented them for a while, and it was like, that lens was like, what is it that he wants? And I didn't know, but it really broke down, and we had an event, and he gave me a gesture that is between me and him. And it was, at that moment, probably one of the, I couldn't imagine it, because like I said, I don't know Scott's and Ken's where I come from.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be honest. Like, I don't know those type of guys, So right. It was like, what is going on here, man? Like, what is this about? And when a person keeps showing up, the same thing I try to do for the kids, keep showing up, and you see that they're not quitting, they're not giving up. It's like, I finally went to him, and I was like, and we had a conversation that I think was a job interview, but I think it was more of a conversation. And it was like, it turned into this now,
So Brandon, here's the thing that's really funny that I don't know whether Kenny told you or not, but I've been, and I do business coaching and consulting, and I was after him for years and years and years, because the lens he looked at it through was a spreadsheet lens. If I do this, then this will happen, that'll happen. And I kept saying, no, you can't. Yes, you need to have the business plan. You need to understand the nuts and bolts, but it's a people lens. Find the right people, train them, and you'll be fine. You kept finding the wrong people with a good business plan. And so it's funny you said it's a job interview. You know what it is? It's people interview. If you're the right people, that's what you got to go find. And I do think he has moved in that direction. Would you agree with that, Kenny?
Oh, the
Just
business today from 3 years ago, it's not even close. So Brandon doesn't really know the business background as much as I had the wrong managers. I had people that were stealing from me. I've gone through all of it, but I think as an organization, we're good people and we try to do right. So we were growing despite ourselves, if that makes any sense.
yeah.
We were shooting ourselves in the foot every day, all day long, and yet we were still growing. It kind of made no sense. And when we started hiring the right people, and I'm not hiring for skill set, I'm hiring for the intangibles. And that's the part that Brandon probably never had. I saw intangibles in him that he knew he had, but never thought anybody else could see it. Is that, and outside of the circle, your circle of influence, you didn't know that other people could see through things that were, I see life through a very clear lens, in my humble opinion. So I saw you very vividly, and in a way that you probably hadn't had someone like me ever seen you before. And then
He's
I
a
think
pharmaceutical engineer.
I
mean,
yeah,
I mean, that's brilliant.
exactly.
But so it's interesting because I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity here, because I made a note earlier when you said it. I forget who said it, but it's interesting, this concept that we probably haven't even really explored, which is sometimes my lens for myself is not the lens you see me as.
Yep.
And that can be, you add 20 people to that list, and wow, it can get confusing. Whose lens is right?
Yeah, the lens I saw, Brandon, the lens I saw Scott through when I met him was, man, what a jerk. This guy, what is wrong with it? What is wrong with this guy?
I just hide it better now, Kenny.
And it goes back to, so I'm super big on one thing with the kids and with adults that come from prison and things I do, I'm super big on mental health. So I'm real big on mental health issues and mental health, period. But and I go back and I think I heard this a lot through counselors I've had and therapists, is the way you view yourself. You view yourself, I viewed myself the way I viewed myself, not knowing other people didn't view me that way. That some of the things that I may have gone through or experienced could have been through my own lens that they weren't even there. I created them because I didn't see myself the way Ken or my old principal, Mr. Phillips, seen me, or something like that, to where it was like, hey, I don't see that in myself. So my lens was created with like a blocker or something that I didn't know people viewed me this way, because how I viewed myself or how I thought about myself just personally.
Yeah. Well, and that would explain why you didn't understand why some people acted certain ways towards you, because they were seeing you through a different lens.
And you get nervous, and you like, so even for a couple of days, like I told Ken, I watched the last lens thing y'all did, and before I even, and even in my mind, still knowing the person that I'm starting to know and I'm being around, in my mind, I still was like, man, what, something you said in there, and Ken says it all the time, like your positive lens, the way you guys look through a positive lens. In my mind, I'm like, no way they could be so positive, or no way. But it, like you said, it's the lens and the things that you have built into yourself.
And it's what you focus on too. So, I'm a big proponent of, when you think about your day, you get up in the morning and you interact with your family and whomever else, and you stop, you drive on the road, and you're on the road with, 100 other cars in your small commute, and you stop in at a coffee shop and you have a cup of coffee, and there's, between turnover and people coming and going, there might be 50, 60 people in there. And you go on through your day and you might have interacted directly or indirectly with 1,000 people, let's say. And if your lens is focused on that one jerk that cut you off in traffic, or that one asshole who was mean to a waitress at the coffee shop, you say, wow, the world sucks. The world is. But if you look at the 999 people you interacted with, that everything was fine. They said good morning. They were pleasant. They let you in traffic. Traffic still worked. you go, wow, it's fascinating that we as humans can somehow make the world work when we're all busy and we all have our own stuff to do, and yet somehow it works. And it all depends on where you have your lens focused at that point, right?
And that lens to be able to, we were doing an activity this on Thursday with the youth, and how easy for myself to point out all the negative through the negative lenses. But when you say, all right, now tell me something positive about yourself, it like hurt my heart, because they was like, I don't know. And I was like, wow, like immediately the people at the group, they already know, like Jermontes and Miss Megan, immediately they like, it's that lens, Brandon, because like I said, I'm on this lens thing for whatever. It makes so much. I'm one of them people, like once you break it down into simplest forms for me, like I get, that's like a aha moment. And I'm like,
but those poor kids, they have nothing but negative. I don't want to say that they don't have anything but negative influences around them, but their life is very
negative views.
And somehow we've got to be able to. How do we figure out? How do we break through that? And within that organization, Scott, when I started volunteering, my goal was to volunteer and kind of help out the youth. And the reality is I'm a 59-year-old white guy who, I don't know how to relate to these 6th to 12th graders, right? I mean, I can be there and I can whatever, but what I saw was there was a whole bunch of Brandons there that, who was helping them, and I was watching them, and it's half men, half women are the mentors. There's not a single bad apple in that group, and each one of them are working multiple jobs, trying to create something, but they're all seeing life through, and I hope I don't say this wrong, Brandon. They're giving great advice to the children about what not to do. Don't be like them. Don't do it the way I did it. What not to do. But we're really struggling with explaining to them what they should do, and how can they see themselves different to understand there's a whole big world out there for anybody to go into, but nobody is telling them where to look.
Right.
So
honestly, Brandon, I mean, I would encourage you, as a person who has been in that field for many years. I mean, I think you're barking up the right tree. I think you got to stay on them about, and it's, tell me something positive about yourself. I'll give you another little one that I think works really well too, is, listen, tell me something you like about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as, I'm athletic, or, I'm pretty, or find something positive to build on. Okay, great. So what does that do for you? How do you, and just kind of build on the positive. It's not that you're ignoring the negative, but what we do is we grab a hold of that negative because it's easier to see it, and then we start building on that.
Yep.
And we ignore the positive. So if we switch that around and say, okay, I know the negative exists, but here's the positive, and then we start building on that, well, then it takes you to a whole other place. And it's just what you choose to focus on.
Like you said, it opens up that lens, like to be able to see life, people, things, whatever it is, just in a different view, because you're not just locked in on where you're from or things you've seen that you see. You know what? When I start looking back through those lenses, I can name a couple kids that was right there with me, but when I went left, they went right. Their lens were a little different than mine. So you can't tell me that. I used to be big on POEM, POME, product of my environment. Like that, I was a person that I would probably argue you up and down till I had no breath left in me, that because of my environment, these are the reasons why I have moved into such a more open-minded, better lens view of life that's not true. That there's people that have less and make more out of it. But their lens, how hungry they were, they just wanted it a little bit more. And that's the lens that I try to
Yeah.
keep that perspective with these kids, that there's other people going through the same thing. They made it or they figured it out. So how can we help y'all develop that better lens now?
Right.
And which,
but a lot of that is mindset, exactly what you just said, Brandon. I mean, the reality is you're you know, everybody, look, there's I'm a big Darwin fan, right? I mean, 30 antelopes are born on the on the Serengeti in the last week. Some of them are going to get eaten. It ain't fair. And you are, I don't like product of your environment, but your environment can reduce some of your choices.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, if you're looking at, and I think this is where our societal conversation is not doing anybody any good. So if we look at that as an excuse or as a reason why, I'm proud of my environment, so why try? You go, look, I'm going to prove everybody wrong, right? The lens I'm going to look at it is, I may only have 3 options where, if you're the child of a billionaire, you have 1 million options. Okay, I got 3 options. How awesome is that? Let's pick one. And in doing that, I think if you shift that focus from what don't I have or what were the odds against me, which is back to that negative positive thing, it's what you train the lens on. And just like you, I mean, look where you're sitting right now when whether you were born an entrepreneur or whatever you want to call it, you had something you brought to the table and you didn't even realize you had it.
Or he maybe didn't value it from, he might have valued it internally, but not externally. He didn't allow other people to see it. But I would, what blows me away about the way that this whole lens thing is kind of playing out. When I met Brandon, if Brandon just went back 6 months ago, who was Brandon and who is Brandon today? The fascinating thing is he's the same guy. There is nothing different in this man. The only difference is the way he sees the world today is different from 6 months ago, but he's the same guy.
Yeah.
So it just kind of opened up. And I don't know if, Brandon, if you want to, talk at all about, the way that what do you see in front of you today that you didn't know was in front of you 6 months ago?
Like what I see is not even, it's more, I think I have went past the level of seeing now, because I think seeing is just like it's not an action word. It's like it's right before the action, before you start formulating your plan. So when I seen something now, and not to be too cocky or brash, it's now what is there for me to take? What is there? What is in front of me for me to grab a hold of, because I know I can handle this? And that's the mindset that I have gotten into, in a sense of, how I'm going to carry things here. Meaning that I told Kim from the beginning, I want nothing. I don't want to be treated any different. I don't want no type of special privileges because you're helping mentor me or you're giving me guidance, because I'm an earner. I'm going to earn mine. That I wanted my work ethic and the things in front of me to speak for that. So I come in with the mentality every day of, this is temporary, because I'm building from what I can see, what my lens is, from what is here. There's opportunity. And with opportunity, there's always been opportunity for me, but there's at times I let it pass by, mostly because of fear of change. Like, even when I came here, there was a fear of change that held me back from saying, okay, I'm gonna let you help me make my life easier. Because that fear of change of, I don't know nothing about this. My hands as soft as a baby's butt. I ain't worked hard with these things before. So it was like, all right, what do I do when I get there? I don't know nothing. But once I got over that fear of change, that lens was wiped off, I'll say, you know what, man, there's stuff here for me to grab a hold of. And I'm going, and that's how I'm going. That's how I'm going to, proceed. And that's how I look at things now, that I'm past the just seeing part. Like I'm trying to move into an action stage. And I think with that lens, once you see things through a different lens, there's an action stage after that. Like now action has to be taken because you see what's in front of you. You see what can happen, good or bad. Now it's up to you it's the action part now. What action am I going to put in this to have my lens adjusted to my likings and my views?
So I'm going to tell you something just because, I mean, look, we just met. I see where Kenny sees in you. So right? I'm going to tell you, don't ever sell yourself short. Every year, look for another job. And what it'll do is, I used to tell this to people when I was running, another company, look for a job every year. And it'll tell you, wow, either you're going to go, wow, I got all this opportunity out in front of me. And it'll inform Kenny, hey, I'm not paying enough, or I need to do, change the way I do things, because it's not personal. Or you're going to go out there and find out, wow, I got it pretty good. Either way, it confirms for you that you're in the right place. It confirms for Kenny that he's in the right place. And the world's a good place, right? I mean, you just explore opportunity. Never quit looking for new opportunity. It's
crazy. It's so crazy how it's like, I don't know, like I said, man, I try to be a straight shooter, but you guys' brains, I don't know if y'all like Siamese twins or something, but he did that exact conversation, maybe not in the same words he had. He said, Brandon, if something comes up, you go do what you need to do. Brandon, if this isn't for you, don't just sit around because you think you owe me something. Let me know, and then we can move in a different direction. So exactly what you said, and it lets me know too. You know what? It's like a confirmation, an affirmation. It just let me know that, you know what he was saying to me, not that I needed anyone to back you, Kim, but for it to come full circle like that, it let me know, you know what, he wasn't bullshitting. He was being straight up, and it goes back to that lens of like I said, I don't know people. Honestly, like I don't. People like you all weren't in my life, so it's like, what I don't know. And I try not to sit on it too long, but I always look at my what if sometimes. Like, what if I had
here's
that
the
person
thing.
Put his arm on me and walk with me,
Go all the way back, right? I mean, the truth of the matter is, you could have always walked into our barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
You chose not to because you're looking at the world through a different lens. But if you put on a lens and go, wait a minute, there's 100 barbershops I could walk to.
Yeah.
Not every one of them is going to take you in. Don't get me wrong. There are bad people out there. There are good people out there. And there are people that, aren't paying attention. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But ultimately, if you live with a certain set of values and integrity, there's plenty of barbershops out there that would, if you walk in and go, hey, here I am, here's what I have to offer. It's just a way of looking at the world.
I kind of feel like there's a lot more of us, and meaning all three of us, Brandon, there's a lot more of us in this world than any of us could give credit. So I know a lot of people. I got a lot of people in my inner circle. I got a lot of people that I deal with professionally or whatever. They all look at the world the way I do. Sometimes they don't, some people don't necessarily know how to articulate it. And they don't know how to discuss it. They don't know how to formulate it around a concept or something, but we're all this way. And it's just a matter of if we can just continue to have conversation. But it was funny. I told Brandon, but the reason I told Brandon when he decided he was going to come here, I wanted to have that conversation with him because I wanted to make sure he didn't see me like he saw everybody else, in a sense of, wow, I owe him something. You don't owe me anything.
You don't owe anybody anything.
Nothing. What he owes is to himself and his children and his family. He owes them. And so if this place ends up being the right place and I can help him attain his dreams and he goes out and grabs them or whatever, it's all good. But like you said, 100%, don't close any doors and go check things out everywhere. And that's also another great lens to talk to if we're having a business discussion. When employees do that, A, it holds the business accountable, but B, it makes that business better because the business wants those good people that are trying to strive. So it's a win-win across the board. Some people would be like, wow, if all your employees are looking for a job every year, Well, I'm not doing my job as an owner if the employees decide, if they all decided that there's a better opportunity someplace else. I, I got to create that better opportunity right here for every one of my 70 employees.
Yeah, because the ones that are capable of leaving are the ones you want to keep.
Yeah, so it is 2:55. So there just went like 45 minutes, just like crazy.
So we do have to.
We might have
too good at this.
No, seriously, you guys got to count me. I mean, I know because of time, because I'm working in Ken is super, and my boy Richie Rich, they're in on this, but like count me in for this. Like, not only is it something that I like doing, it's also something I need, because I'm able to get different perspectives, and I'm able, because I pour into people so much. It's good that when I allow people to pour into me now, the things that I learn and I can take with me from these experiences.
Just remember, work is work. Yep. This is one of my lenses I tell people all the time. Work is work. Life is life. Work funds life. So if you got a better opportunity on the work side of things so that you can fund your life, don't ever confuse work and life. They're not the same thing. If you win $500 million in the lottery, the stuff that you would stop doing, that's work. The stuff you would keep is life, right? Don't ever confuse those two things, even if you like the guy that owns the company.
Exactly. 100%. But
don't tell nobody, man. I'm starting. There's like that soft spot that it's like, a lot of people, and it's hard for another man to say, to another man, thank you, or it's good to have a person like that in your life when you start looking like, not like, man, like. That's a person you want to look up to, or you want to strive to say, you know what, those are qualities that I would like to have. And, and Ken knows this, like, that's the route that I've taken, because for whatever reason, and this is hard. See, that loyalty thing is in me because of what was indoctrinated into me. You be loyal to those loyal to you. And he's just opened my eyes and my brain to so much. And it's like, I don't know, like beyond grateful. And that's why I say, you know what, not only working hard because it's who I am, working hard because the opportunity was given to me. And I want to let people know that, hey, I'm not a person that's ungrateful or anything, that I take this, serious, and I roll with it, like, because I'm always going to give my all. I just gave my all to all the wrong things before.
But when you talk loyalty, there can be a problem there, right? So if you're making decisions based on, say, a loyalty to me, you have to understand that the lens I see the world through, the only way you can show loyalty to me is for you to continue to improve and get better and take care of your family in any form that is. It doesn't have to be here. You just have, but sometimes we get lost in, I'm going to be loyal to somebody or something. And now that's going to create, could hold you back as well. You need to know that there are people around you that like Scott and I, we go back 20 some odd years, and sitting around bonfires, I'm a better man today because of those opportunities with him. And I would think that he's a better man today from that too. If we look at where we were when we first met, where we were and where we are right now, he and I are just going along for a ride, to be honest with you. And anybody that wants to get on this train is welcome.
Save me a seat on that train, man.
You and I, we're gonna take a photo op. There's gonna be a day where we're gonna go to a barber. We're gonna go get a haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And then that'll really bring it full circle.
Yeah. Well, Kenny and I, we don't need many more haircuts.
No, I don't have a whole lot of haircuts left.
There's not a lot up there. So yeah.
But this might end up having to be a couple of parter, because there really is so much to talk about, and we really didn't touch on. This was an opportunity for us, Scott and Brandon, to get to know each other a little bit and just kind of have conversation. But we can go a lot deeper than we went today in terms of the differences in lenses and how do we help equate change. So I look forward to.
Like I said,
and here's the big secret.
I'm an open book. I don't shy away from much, because it is what it is. Only thing I can do is use my experiences to help others. So Scott, I'm grateful for this conversation, and Ken too. So you guys let me know how you guys want to roll with this, or what part.
Here's the big secret. We don't know what the heck we're doing.
Yeah, we have no clue.
we just got together and we're like, look, so I moved down here and I'm like, look, let's just get together every couple of weeks and have a conversation. We'll see where it goes. And then we're like, maybe we should bring on a guest. All right, let's bring a guest on. We don't know what we're doing either. We just are trying to, the lens that we see the world through is, let's just make the world a better place, right? I mean, it's not just, I'm gonna leave you guys on this because I know you got to go, Brandon. I don't want to hold you up. You guys were talking about change. We just need to create change.
Yeah.
I have gone away from change because change can be good or bad depending upon what you do. I would challenge you to substitute the word growth, right? So it's not that we just want to change the world. We want people, if as a result of us having these conversations and we put it out there, if somebody grows as a result of that, then we're good.
All good.
Whatever else happens, we'll be fine. Not just change, but growth. So kudos to you, Brandon. Clearly, you're a growth guy. Kenny and I obviously are kind of in that same place. So I appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate your time. And with any luck, Kenny is going to save this and not erase it because we've had that problem.
I erase more of these, Brandon, than I am able to figure out how to save. So,
and then we'll get them up on our YouTube channel. So again, thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Kenny. Always good chatting with you guys. And
thank you, guys.
Yep. All right. Take it easy.
I'm gonna cut this one.